let's rearrange or change the products in the product section. So depending on the various pages that we have, we might have different products. We should ideally you should only have the SKU on one page. I know a lot of you are like, well, it's good to have here, but then it's also good to have down here as well. There's very few times where that makes your life easier. And it also clutters up the pages because as I've talked about before, my Tai Chi of POS is all about working from the top left over to the right and making sure it's as smooth as possible. So again, only your top 20 or whatever will fit in here comfortably, starting with either guest count or your flights, and then going into your different flights, and then going into maybe glasses, then into bottles, then into food, and possibly merch, but most people don't get that far. The idea here is that your top 20 most sold items or most used SKUs will go here so that you have to leave this page as little as possible. So, and because keep in mind that every time you go to another page, you're slowing yourself down. And I got to search for something. So also put everything in a nice, easy way to see, or that makes sense. So start with your bubbles, and then go into white wine, and then go into rosé, and then go into your reds. And generally start with a lighter wine or product, and then work heavy. That way it's an easy progression for people to remember as well. All right, so if we do want to change something on here, we're actually going to go into the admin panel, and we'll go to store and products. Then we come over here to arrange products underneath add a product. It's kind of incognito here, just kind of sitting there. And you're going to see the category. So we can see we have website, we have product features, product groups, and then we also have all the POS categories. Now, what's going to happen here is this is a list of all those that are on there. But when you inactivate a SKU, you also want to make sure that you go in and you go, okay, well, we're out of it, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to inactivate it and uncheck display on web. What you also need to do is go down here to categories and take them off of those as well. If you don't do that, then what you're going to get is you're going to get a page that scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, and you're in between all the ones that you are having on the page that you really want there's going to be a bunch of inactive ones all throughout, and it's going to be a pain to kind of move these around and figure out what you want and where they go, and it's a real nightmare. So by doing those little steps as you're going along, it only takes a couple of seconds, and it saves you a lot of work down the road. All right, and then once you're happy with it, you go ahead and hit the save changes. So we're going to, let's see, we have a comp tasting, wine club tasting fee. It's in a pretty good order, actually. So let's move some stuff around. And we'll do this. Okay. So now I've changed it on the back end, but when I go to the POS, it doesn't change until I make a few clicks, which is going to force the iPad to go to the server to get information. But ideally what you want to do is just hit reload POS. And then you're going to see that they have moved positions. And you can also see that I have my way of doing the POS naming or nomenclature is very simple and straightforward. So the idea here is always put a picture. Try not to use the same picture over and over because it can get a little confusing on which product is where. But if you are using it, something similar to this, then the whole point of the nomenclature is to get to that next step. So, okay, I know it's a Bordeaux, I know it's a red, whatever it is. Okay, now I need to know what vintage, and then that's why this is first, because the only difference between these two right now is a 17 and a 16. So they're the same price, the same icon, it's the same nomenclature, but I need to know, I want the 16. Well, that's not it, so I know it's this one, or vice versa. And so if you put a space here, then it's easier to read versus a SKU. So usually your SKU and your POS name are similar. SKU doesn't have spaces. POS, you need to have it, because if this was all one, COMPDWCTF, it takes your brain too long to cut these up into meaningful symbols. So it's all about pattern recognition. Pinot 3 ounce should just be PN. There's no point in putting Pinot, the whole thing. And same here, Chardonnay, Rosé. Rosé could just be RS. It's really just up to you how you want to do it. But the 2-digit year is sufficient. You don't have to have 2017. That's kind of redundant if you think about it. So the whole point is instant recognition of what you're looking for, and this is the fastest way, is ideally have the years ascending, not descending as you're going heavier, because that's why I had it that way before, but then have the year and then have the varietal and then anything that's special about it. So 17 cab just happens to be a Doc Crane. So this will really speed things up, and it won't take long for people to get this done. Ideally, if you have better icons and they are different enough, that's your end goal. That's your ultimate. The ultimate is, oh, I know this is this. Like, it's what they used to joke about, which I think is still a thing at McDonald's or whatever, where it's just pictures, right? And remember the movie Idiocracy, it's just pictures. And you've brought it down to that base level. Well, in this case, you're just trying to get through as quickly as possible so you can get back to customer service. You don't want this to take a long time. And so by having those icons, that's why I colored these. So I know exactly which one I want to click just by glancing at this. I don't have to sit and look and read this. I know what that means because I know what that color means, or I know what this means because I know what that wine is versus this one. So having more unique icons can really help. But if you're stuck in a situation where you need to do something like this, or kind of the same bottle shot, that's where, boom, now this becomes the next step. What year? Okay, then that's all I need to know. I really don't even need to know that it's cab, except if I needed to double check. But I already know that the cabs are over here, and I just need to know which year is the right one so I can put it over here. All right? So that's how you rearrange it. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to put it back the way it was. And we're going to go back in here, go down to the page that we want. And the 16 goes there, and that's okay, but I'll do that one first. That one's nice. All right, there you go. Let me know if you have questions.